Great, well, I'd like to call the meeting of the Town County Senior Center Board of Oversight to order, right, at 10:07. The meeting guidelines. Nobody here's some trouble with it, so.
Well,
Okay, speak one at a time and follow the code of conduct and respect, and consider it courteous, concise, and non-repetitive. And so if I get to be repetitive, just wag your finger at me. Okay, the members present, we've got Doug and Trevor and Joyce, as well as Jen, who are one of the board of oversight plus our directors. So we have 2 minutes from 2 meetings to approve. I would hear a motion on those.
motion to approve the minutes for August 3rd, 2024. Sorry.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Joyce, aye. All right, great. And there's another.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for August 14th, 2024. Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Aye. Okay, good. So we've got, did I get meeting guidelines? Did I get, like, just go past public?
No, that's.
Number 2, there we go. I didn't, public comment. So this is the time for members of the public to make comments on things not related to things that are on the agenda. The agenda has both a feasibility study discussion, getting everybody up to date on that, and consortium agreement discussion. I don't know of any unanticipated items.
The only one is gonna be the PVTA.
There's a PVTA document that we have to list that.
Yep.
So is there any member of the public here who has something they want to bring up outside of those? Yes, ma'am. Can you, and say who you are, because I forget names for this.
That's okay, so do I. I'm Camille Messlington.
Uh-huh. Camille?
Yeah, Camille. And I just wanted to, can I just start now?
Yeah, and I'll give you like 2 minutes.
Okay, I just wanted to comment on the cost of the exercise programs and all, and I know it's been put on hold because the grant came through again. Or new renewal came through. So I just want to throw some ideas out there. So if it comes up again, it's not like a quick rush to do anything. And I know that by December 13th, we had already lost 3 classes, exercise classes, for one reason or another. So that's why, you know, I don't think the idea of a monthly pass is not good because, and I know that the idea came over that balanced classes would be carried over. So I was just, you know, I'd done some thinking and I thought that, it had been mentioned that, you know, like someone could go to the 20 classes with a $25 pass, whether it was the yoga center or Whately, and that wasn't counting Tai Chi. So keeping that in mind, it would seem that like a 20 pass for $25 would be just a good idea for everybody. That way, we wouldn't be all rushing to Tom at the beginning of the month to get a new pass, either before or after class. And he could just sort of initial each pass, and once we reach 20, no matter where it was, he would do for a new pass. And that way I thought it would just be more equitable for everybody, as opposed to Joe Schmo being going 20 classes and I would only make like 15 or something or 10 for that same money. This way we'd all be paying the same thing. And like I said, that's not even counting when Tai Chi was brought up, that they might lose their grant as well. And that's another option to come. So I just thought this way it wouldn't be locked into a month. We all wouldn't be rushing to renew at the same time. And it would accommodate classes that are canceled for whatever reason, like the town hall has its elections, and that's fine. I mean, that's what the town hall is for.
Right.
But you know, the other day they went to the expo thing, and that's fine. That's what the senior center is for.
Okay.
To, you know, do all that. And so, but this way, nobody would lose out. We'd all be doing what we want to do with the senior center.
It sounds like something we probably ought to consider. And it's been about 2 minutes, so, I feel like I have the gist of your idea. Does anybody have any questions they wanna ask Camille about this idea? Cause I feel like we probably can't take it up and make any decisions about that today, because I would really want, like, the staff
Yeah.
and Jen to kind of consider that, and, because they see more than we do.
That's why I wanted to bring it
Yeah,
up.
so-
And if you
so
want
that's
to talk
perfect.
with me, just let me know.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Um, when it's
Any
time,
immediate questions that,
I just
You want
wanted to throw it out before.
yes, because I've sort of had that yoga pass, but it was never one where you could go like to different places. And I think that's an interesting way to kind of simplify things, but I want to know what. what
I
the
had-
staff-
I had mentioned it
Yeah.
as being an alternative, and what
Oh.
Camille is saying is that because from my understanding of what you're saying now is that, you're feeling that it should be available for every class. The only reason that Tai Chi and one of the other classes weren't included is because at the point in time where it was presented, is they still had grant money under a different grant.
Yeah.
And as I've tried to explain, there are multiple grants, it's not just one grant, and they cover certain things versus others. So we're gonna get into that more,
That's why I said
Yeah.
for the ones who need it, like Tai Chi wasn't included, because they didn't need it.
Right,
This way it would include those who needed it, and
Yeah,
if that came up, just speak.
okay.
no, that's great, thanks for bringing it today.
Pulling that idea up,
Okay.
that's great. Okay, anybody else have?
Empty, empty seat.
Right, okay, all right, okay, very good, very good. Now the feasibility study discussion. We're at the point in the feasibility study where, the consultants have basically come up with some price tags that you will all, you'll either. Well, I can't really say that on the recording. It may cause, some heart trouble, if you actually take the numbers really seriously at this point. But I've got, there's a set of drawings and numbers, and they're mainly meant for comparison with each other. And, the other, bit of comparison is with the needs. So the consultants have, included, based on our discussions of what kind of programming we want. That we would need a really huge senior center to take care of all the things. So we took the programming or the things we want to have in a senior center and put them into 3 categories: high priority, medium priority, and low priority. And when I look at it, it's like, if we want to grow, we need both the high and the medium.
Yeah.
And the low are really things like that, that'd be nice, but. We could do without the low priority things, and there weren't that many things in the low priority, because the things we talked about were things that were. High priorities, and it was really hard to decide sometimes between high and medium things. But in round numbers, we need 7,500 square feet just for the high priority items. We need about the same, about 7,500 square feet for the medium priority things. And it was a couple thousand square feet. I don't remember the number anymore, because in my mind, the low priority things just went off the edge. When we realized we need 15,000 square feet of space to do what we really want to do, and to serve our community the way we're, not just like the things we're scraping by with now, but to have our own space for exercise, to not have to rely on other spaces for that. Because there are problems like one of the ones Camille brought up, at these, that those spaces are really community spaces. But on the other hand, like, for example, we could have a gymnasium. Well, we really need a gymnasium. There are 4 gymnasiums in our community. If we need a big gymnasium for something, we can get one for an occasion. It really needs. But for everyday exercise classes, which are really demanding, we probably need our own space, which would not be a gymnasium, it would be a small space. So we've spent at least 3 meetings talking about the needs and how big different spaces would need to be to serve our what we expect to be our population. these classes and the technology classes that don't need a gymnasium, kitchen space and community meal space, and just, we really went through again, and these folks know their senior centers, they've done this kind of thing before, right? But they brought up things that we hadn't thought of, and we talked about where those priorities were. So that part has been done, and the number you have to remember is, we want to do this right, we need 15,000 square feet to do it. So they looked at the 3 sites and trying to figure out how do we get 15,000 square feet out of those. And the other target they had was like somewhere in their mind, they said, well, you really had to only do the high priority. You need something like 7 or 8,000 square feet. What are your options there? So if we look at the 3 sites, without considering any new building, the church in South Deerfield could get us about 7,600 square feet. By just renovating the spaces there, okay? So if renovating the church is the way we want to go, it's only gonna serve the high priority needs. And some of those medium ones are like really near and dear to us, so I'm not particularly comfortable with that. If we only use the existing space in Whately, it'd be much worse. It's only 5,000 square feet there. And so you really couldn't do anything with that site unless you were to build onto it. Now, luckily there's space to build on. The site in Sunderland on Plum Tree Road has about 12,000 square feet, which would by itself serve the needs, our high priority needs and some of the medium priority needs, in all likelihood. Now, in none of these spaces did they go in and do specific, this is how I'm laying out the classroom and this is gonna be the walking track and everything. None of that is laid out. They're really doing all of these from a kind of a very high level. And they're, so we're just, and there's all the shop parking as well. But, and from their point of view, none of them have adequate parking. And at one point, I just told these guys that, yes, if there's a big event at the library, then yeah, there'll be more cars. But if you're sharing parking, yeah, that could be a problem sometimes, but have we never parked on the grass for town meeting? We have to do it all the time. So I'm not as worried about parking as they are, because at all of the sites, there were ways to expand the parking enough to get us close to what we ought to be looking for. So, and so we asked them to let's look at all of these sites. How would you get them to 15,000 square feet? And pie in the sky, just using numbers like how many hundreds of dollars per square foot does it cost to renovate an old building? How many dollars per square foot for a new building, like the Plum Tree Road? How many dollars per square foot for like an empty shell, which is what we had done in some cases, in Deerfield, they said, we're not gonna get to 15,000 square feet if we're only renovating.
Right.
So they made a proposal, well, if you were to tear that down and use that footprint to build either a 1-story or a 2-story, the 1-story would just give you 8,000 square feet. The 2-story would give you everything done. Okay, then same thing in Whately. What would it take to renovate what you have indoors and then build on more new, because there is plenty of land there to expand into. And then Plum Tree Road has the smallest amount of new builds because it's already got the biggest room space. So they went through and they put in numbers, and I'm afraid to say them out loud because.
Don't be, I mean, the cost of everything has gone up.
Right.
Since COVID,
So-
with the demand.
For the most part, these are looking at the total after they figure in contingency and everything, are more or less $1,000 a square foot. So there's, so $15 million.
Oh.
To get a 15,000 square foot facility. Now, if you look at the details, tearing down a building in Deerfield and building something new on top of it, that's actually 16 million.
We need you.
And if you look in Whately, that's 15 million. If you look in Sunderland, including a price, assuming we can buy it for 1.5 million, it's really uh. 14 million. Okay.
Yeah,
So when I say 15 million, I feel like the 14 million, 15 million, 16 million, because this is such a, like a bird's eye view. The difference between those prices is not that important. I think and the difference in like the availability of parking. Because I think on all of those sites, we have ways to deal with either expand existing parking, or. You know, pave a little bit in Whately of some of the grassy area. I think. That's not the deciding thing. What we have to decide or recommend, I think, because I don't think we are the people who are directing the feasibility study. I think we make a recommendation. They will give us on this feasibility study a more detailed plan for 2 of the locations. So we have to basically recommend which of these 3 sites is most worth looking into. And that's good. I don't know if we'll be able to do that home on meeting, but I hope it's something we can discuss in great detail. So with that as kind of my read on the numbers they gave us, I did make a document that has all those numbers and the pictures of kind of what goes with it. And I can share that up here, but I'm not sure how helpful that will be for everyone. To me, one of the first questions is there any stomach for tearing down the building?
Do it parking.
You would do it in our,
I would do it.
so
Because I think we need
Trevor
to look for the,
Dictator
for the,
of Deerfield
Right,
would
exactly.
tear it down.
and I would be cast out next.
I think so, because that building, I understand it has a lot of memories, but the structural stability underneath, when you look at everything. And one thing that Chris Wanty, who's the person we've been working with
Yeah,
from EDM Studio shared, is there's a lot of structural pieces that are, there's gaps in the beams in the
It's in
basement.
1821 and it was built on, and look, we're not working for a community that lived 150 years ago. We are trying to provide services for the community that we have now, and it is gonna be here
In the
for the next
future.
50 years.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, while it would be wonderful to have an old church that people could come and admire, that doesn't really serve much purpose. We don't have any use for it really. Sure, we could have a couple of dinners there, but while we're lacking this major need for our seniors in town, we'd be looking at an empty shell of a building that might get used a few times a year. We need to use that space that we have that's vital in the downtown area, if this was the spot to provide services for our seniors going forward, and that's just it, you know, and again, I don't know how else to get around the fact that we're moving into the future, not living in the past. We have Old Deerfield. We have a lot of things to go look at. It would be wonderful to keep it if it was structurally sound. But it really isn't. I mean, you can't put a second floor in that building. It's cavernous and large. It's not well insulated, not good. I mean, every contractor that's looked at that said you need to take it down. And the only people who want to hang on to it are the people that like the historical value of it, which I would get if we had multiple other spots to build. But we don't. So
yeah,
I would make the case. I don't know if it would win, but
yeah.
I think it's worth talking about. Because I think just remodeling it doesn't get us the square footage that we need.
So I guess let me put this out and see if you agree with the statement that the Board of Oversight would not recommend simply remodeling the existing building to take care of our high priority needs,
Right.
because we really need to take care of more than that. We need to go into that medium column.
I mean, that's really up to the towns, the 3 towns. Do we want to make this leap and make this for the future?
Yeah.
Or are we gonna limp along like we have for many years with
Well,
not surviving?
Our job is to recommend.
Correct.
Are we agreed on a recommendation like that?
Yes.
Yeah, that if we were to try to house our senior center in Deerfield, it would have to be with the church torn down.
Mhm.
So then, and then rebuilding on that site, it would be 2 stories to get the amount of
Mhm.
square footage we need. it would have a smaller amount of green space than would be available at either Plumtree Road or Whately. But it would, there's still some green
other
space there
areas.
and there's parks nearby.
Right.
Brian, you have a question or comment? If, I don't know. That.
For Trevor mainly, what's going on with the St. James property?
Possible senior housing.
Okay, so would it be possible to tear down the congregational church and put senior housing there? And the senior center, I mean, it's a whole different plan, but that would put the seniors closer to town.
Yeah.
That live in, that live there, because everybody isn't very vocal at times.
It's a thought, it just hasn't been part of that discussion and study and all of that, so I don't.
No, that's too bad. And what's the cost for renovating the 1888 business?
That's gonna be about 7 million, we have a $4 million grant, and we have CPA funds for the other 3 something. So no taxes, revenue that we're raising.
Other than
Other than
CPA.
CPA, which was taxes.
What, yeah.
And state revenue,
And that includes the addition to it.
that includes the addition for the town.
So in hindsight, it's too bad that wasn't done from the senior center the same years. Because that's almost half of what
Right.
you're talking about bringing some.
Yeah.
But at that, I think that the building would not be enough square footage either. Just renovation on the inside,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, so. So to me, the main drawback of telling our associates, hey, give us some detail about a new building. That would be 8,000 and 8,000 square feet. My main hesitation is. How long before we know whether that building can actually be turned around? Because I know you put some money into it,
We have.
in the last couple
Yeah,
of years.
and really, I guess the other thing is that people are going to balk at 15,000 square feet, right? So we need to make the case that 15,000 feet is needed. I think people just, if they haven't been involved with this or don't have any understanding of what it takes to run a current senior center or one for the future, they're gonna say, plenty of room, look what they've done, they've used this, they used that, they've been in a church, they only need 6,000 square feet, they don't really have a concept of why, so we really need to make a large push.
Yeah,
Why 15 is necessary and doesn't quite get us everything.
Well, that may be sort of like the next
Yeah.
But-
step.
the other thing I think, that we're not really, that we've touched upon but haven't really shared with the community is the age of our 3 towns and how that number is only going to increase.
Yeah.
The other piece is to change the perception that we're just activities. We are really good resources for a lot of different programs, for essential things, for food insecurity, for helping with fuel assistance and other programs that we partner with
Digital
the state.
literacy, online safety.
Yep, but not just that, but I mean, from the folks that are here today sharing about, the needs for, the fitness, even when I toured, the Hadley Senior Center with Chris Wanty, and I would actually like to invite the 3 of you at a conducive time to go on a tour
love that.
of different centers, because then you can see what they're currently doing. And even the Hadley Center, their new director is changing some things up with, some of those rooms were purposed for like one activity. Where, she's in there now, changing things up to be like, hey, no, this room can be served for this, this, and this, and changing it up. And, the thing for us is, and this would also go back to Ms. Mazanka's point, we had to close down for some things, because like the town of Whately, which we're grateful that we can use the space, but, if they're closed for something, or if the staff, unfortunately, one of our members, parents passed away, so, he was out for the week, and we, had to just take 2 staff to Biggie and not have the program in the morning, but, so it's hard for us to
Yeah,
be
it's
in
one
all the
restaurant staff, yeah.
places you know, for everything that's needed.
Yeah,
You know, and the staff and I have been chatting some of it, we wanna scale back on because we are tired. We are, you know, it is a lot of different
Yeah.
stuff, so.
yeah, I mean, we knew it was gonna be pressure on the staff, so getting those bringing all the staff to full-time. Essentially, was,
Yeah.
I think, really critical,
Yes.
or else we would just be completely,
Yeah.
things would be much, much worse.
I think when we settle on something and we get further down the line with Doug, I really would love to see a meeting for the three towns at Frontier in the auditorium, because that's our shared
Yep,
three-town building. To really present why 15,000 square feet, why we've come up with this plan, why the design works, what the needs are in the future. I think when we had a senior center person come in, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, we had an event, it was before you, had an event at Deerfield Elementary School where we had an architect who does these, come in and do a presentation.
that was 2015, because I have the report in my desk.
It was really nice. They did a nice job and like everybody was nodding their heads and they came across. And so I think Doug kind of lends himself to having that expertise of doing much of these
Yeah,
all over communities and really kind of get the buy-in of all three towns to go, this is a priority for us. You know, we put it on the back burner for as long as I've been on and before that. So at least 10 years and longer, I'm sure, for everyone who's been here. But really it has been a focus and we keep like renting space here and moving here, like, we really need to get this done for our community. And, when we all show all three towns are for this, the square footage comment will go away, maybe it's a little less, maybe whatever, but then maybe we can get some grants from our, you know, from our legislatures to say, hey, look, we're
Yeah,
regionalizing.
we can, absolutely,
Yeah.
like, when we've got a good solid plan with documents behind it,
That's what they want
that's,
to get behind.
that's what these, and your data.
Yes.
And your data.
support all.
yes, exactly.
With Joe and Natalie, everybody's behind it, you get Jim McGovern on it, and then, you know, we can get some senators to send some federal money our way to make something like this happen.
It's,
That's
you know,
not anything unique buildings.
and the grants, you know, I mean, there is the regional grant that we can apply for, that's 1.375 million, but looking at the big picture, that's like a little drop in the
Yeah,
bucket, but every bit does help.
Yeah,
So it's just, you know, trying to figure out where we are. But
Yeah.
with everything that we've been adding though, I mean, the amount of, oh, hold on, I actually have, all the numbers of how many people we've even added since we left the church.
I did a new one yesterday.
Right.
you know,
Reeling it in.
Yeah, I made sure I connected her with Jennifer, because I thought if I left her, you know, she would just go home and follow through with the.
I'm glad you did. It takes
Barbara.
everybody to-
Oh, yeah.
takes everybody to-
So the first year I was here, we brought in 120 new members. In 2023, we brought in 151. For 2024,
which isn't over yet.
no, we brought in 77 from January 1st through May 6th. And then from May 7th through 9/11, 37 new ones.
So
New
over
members.
100.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
not bad.
sorry, I didn't add my numbers, I
Yeah.
just grabbed a few first, so, but, you know, so if we keep adding at least 100 to 150 new members annually with the aging population, we
Yeah.
need that space.
And that'll
It's
grow,
just-
especially when you have the space in the.
And If people like the programming, you draw more people, you know,
Especially in a nice new place.
Yep. And that's what, you know, some of the other centers have done. I know, Camden, I've met with, you know, I've spoken with their director a few different times at some of the MCOA meetings, and she has shared, you know, they had a smaller place and now they have to build onto it a second edition, and I think their first one was either 7,000 or 8,000 square feet.
Did EDM do
Yeah.
that? Yeah, they did
Yeah.
one and then they outgrew it immediately.
Now they're building another one,
Yeah.
and then, you know,
And that's not a huge town. Hampton's small.
No.
Very small. It's
But
like,
when your
but they
population,
have like they have some Wilbraham nearby
Yeah.
and stuff like that, some Springfield, but.
but when your population, you know, continues to age, and also one other thing is, we have a lot of solo agers, you know, who either, never married, widowed, widower, divorced, whatnot.
Kids are away.
Yeah, they don't have, a huge support system. They create a new support system between meeting making new friends at the center.
Yeah.
Or, looking at staff or other, other people they've met. So it's really important to keep that community connection, because isolation, is the number one issue that most older adults face in the community.
Yeah.
And, it can lead to depression. And suicide is really high amongst older adults.
Yeah.
So, our goal is then to reduce the isolation, to hopefully reduce the depression.
Yeah.
To bring folks in for various programs, even if, while we're talking on this, I just want to share, I got an email yesterday, from one of our members. Jennifer, thanks for providing all the variety of activities for the seniors of Deerfield, Sunderland, and Whately. It's greatly appreciated. While some of us pick and choose which offering we participate in, we are glad we have the program for the SCSC. Have a nice day, Tim Moynihan. And
Yeah.
Tim, comes for different activities. He's not here all the time, but since we started offering fine arts, he's been here twice a week. For the classes. So
Yeah,
I think,
we're talking about all the reasons why we're here.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not as worried about the 15,000 square foot number. I think that's a real number. I think that's a number we should aspire for. And if
Yeah.
we end up compromising at 12,000, that's one thing.
Exactly.
But that's the number we should aspire for. Is it really gonna cost 15 million? I don't know about that.
Depends on when how long we wait.
Yeah, yeah.
They always build in some.
Yeah, they-
Yeah, there's a lot,
There's
there's a lot of
There's a lot of
cushioning
fluff here.
built in there, so that's, so to me, that it's like other issues are going to weigh in,
Mhm.
like, will it ever be able to carry down that trend?
Right.
The question of would we ever really be able to purchase, so our second agenda item on the consortium, I think we should move on that. So that we are in a position that if there's something to buy, that we can actually buy it.
Invest, yeah.
We can move fast on that. So if that's what we get done this year, either in series or in parallel with these other things, I think those are two important things. I think, one thing that was said at the last meeting that we have to take seriously, and you weren't at the last meeting. And it's from somebody who's sort of new to the three towns, but a lot of experience in municipal government in Massachusetts, in other states as well. And they made this, they said that Plum Tree Road property is really awesome. And if it was anywhere else in the three towns, it would be the opposite.
I was gonna make the point, I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to draw like that, so just so I'm clear. Bulky's good, it's got 12,000,
Yeah.
so it's good, then we can use rental, we can run it out of there for
That comes to,
7.8 million. But it's 4 miles, 3 miles, whatever that was.
Amherst.
And when you look at the group, it's just,
it's not,
just geographically,
it's not central.
nobody's going on the bus, you want the most walkable
Yeah.
place you can find.
Yeah. and he put it really strongly. He said, there is nothing about that location that is gonna make it worth the reduced cost.
Well, if everybody's riding the bus, those great buses, one every 10 minutes, so you'd be like, well, okay.
Around it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other municipal buildings around it, there's not a library next door, there's not.
Yeah.
There's not.
If there was a good bus to get into Sunderland Center, that'd be different. If we had good buses, if we lived in Stockholm. That's what we should really They have our, and I think, the Whately and Deerfield sites are more centrally located.
They are.
And now Whately's is not in the center of town.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
close.
But it's
And we'd have to talk the buses into going there. And I don't always worry that much about, like PBTA and, FRTA transit. Because honestly, it's a good way to get people from Amherst up here. It's a good way to get people from Northampton up here
Right.
because of the way they run the routes, but it's not necessarily addressing the transportation needs we have in getting somebody from Weber Road
Right.
in. And that's the transportation that you've been addressing.
Yes,
And so we've sort of taken that transportation part on ourselves.
Right.
To what, you know, to whatever's within our power,
Yeah.
we've got like a van now, we're getting a new one, and maybe another one.
Yep.
So we may well have, well, I think that first one might
It's gonna
not
be
be.
traded in to get a
I was gonna say, that one probably is worth trading in.
Yeah, it's a 2011.
Because it's, if not, it's gonna fall apart, right?
Well, the
So,
motor on the lift is giving us a little bit of an issue, so we've got to have that looked at
Yeah,
within the next week, and then I think
yeah,
we're getting a new van in June of next year, not 2026.
Mm.
They put conflicting information on their website, so, and right now,
yeah,
we'll get to this when we talk about the unanticipated, but
yeah,
we're looking at another grant for a second van, but partnering with TBTA. So there would be no capital money needed from any of the three towns for match.
I'll say one thing. If you look at just the square unit price to get to the 15,000. I think should get into someone going much lower cost, I think, square unit price.
right.
And so, I mean,
And
that's
we'll
a
spend a
fact.
little bit on what you have to buy it for. They put in 1.5 million for the cost. I think the
1.8.
assessors say it's probably 1.8 million for the cost, but that's like the
Yeah,
third digit,
sure.
right? The
Right.
difference is really, so, and so I think for all of these things, to get a better idea of what potential costs are. The consultants will have to actually go look at, okay, how do we fit, here's the high priority needs. And we imagine here, this room that's gonna be shared for arts and music, and this room that's gonna be shared for exercise classes of all kinds and so on. When they actually sit down with the layout of those buildings and they've got all that information, we've got to give them two buildings to say, how would you lay this out? And that's when we started seeing, well, if it were in Country Road, we could probably fit. Maybe you could do everything 12,000, probably not. But how much could you fit into that 12,000 square feet? Then what would you build new? And that's where it might break down something off. The new thing you have to build isn't gonna be $500 a square, $550, whatever they budgeted for. In Whately, the cost for renovation is higher because it's a shell.
Right.
But there's different possibilities there because both of the interior spaces are really high ceilings. So big open spaces, you could do something with that, and if you're building new for at least half of the new space. So I think if we were, just thinking of those two spaces, they're both new, but they're both very different in how you would find, we need more detail. In Deerfield, I mean, that spot has different good things about it. It's like walkable to a lot of other things. Lots of shared parking with other entities.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to eliminate one of those. And yeah, and I think probably the bad side of Whately's is that it is in an industrial park. And right now, there's not, the trees are small because they've only put in the last few years. There will be nice big trees there. But it's got lots of parking, so people can get there and have a place to park. So it seems like we've got. It's not like the building cost at this point, that's not different enough
No.
for us to scratch anybody off.
Right.
The availability of parking and green space. I mean, while it's less green space in Deerfield, we've got parking maybe.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so that's not something that can decide. So it seems like the things going forward is for Sunderland, can we overcome the location?
And then in Maryland, it's got,
Oh, yeah,
got 12,000 square feet,
But
but
they're-
like,
it's
it's
in,
not even as wide as this building here, so.
yeah, so, yeah,
Yeah, but those track walls.
No,
are
I
easily
get that,
manipulable,
but
they can
even,
do a lot.
even with the truss walls gone, like the structure of the building isn't
Yeah.
super wide.
right, and
Right.
and Deerfield has that, are we ever gonna tear down that building?
Right.
Because that would delay us a lot.
I
Yeah,
honestly think that, when they presented about, I think Whately is the better location.
And for me, I've been gung
My
ho,
opinion.
but I've been really excited about the Plum Tree Road space, but I think the location is definitely gonna be a deterrence because. Especially getting the buy-in from the three communities. And Whately is not too far from the South Deerfield location. And regardless of whether or not it's close by, when people are going to a place, they're going to a destination. When people come here, they're not going to typically, they're not going to the bank. They may be going down to Wild Roots for something, but we would have a full kitchen, we'd be serving lunch, there'd be no need to leave for that. When folks go to the enhanced fitness class, some people would stay after at the church, not everyone, because some people, just plan their day, they're going for a particular event and then they're leaving.
Yeah.
So I think with the green space there, you can expand the green space. I know that
Yeah,
their
they have a
plan
couple different
showed
pictures.
the
Yeah.
way that the parking would be expanded in the front and potentially some square footage up in the top left corner when you're looking
Yeah.
aerial at the
Yeah,
plot.
can I share? on that?
Yeah, that's what I was, set that up.
Okay, you should get, look
Hold
at
on,
the
let me do
presenter there.
Put that here.
I will pull up that
There you go.
document.
Is that good?
There we go. Back to Zoom,
Nope, do you have yours?
and I'm gonna share. Okay, yeah, now I'm on
Oh, that's
share.
you. Yeah, I did.
Here we go. Share. Okay, so,
Sorry. I
um,
didn't realize, is that me or you?
is it me or you? I don't know. All right, there. So it's not,
Hold on.
let me do a different doc.
No, I
Let me
think
the
I
Excel
did.
version. I think I'm up there.
Jennifer Remillard.
Give me a second.
We're not.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm here, I'm gonna stop share.
It's a dog.
Is mine looked like I was sharing?
It's
it
a
from
pod,
here?
Dylan.
That's right. We're gonna say no more.
I had one other thought on the transportation side. We get during the school year, we get the regular buses up and down. And
Yeah.
Some of them go something.
Yeah.
But they don't frequently. But, I mean, just on the transportation issue, we could see if we could get that bus to go through, maybe even around through Whitman, like more frequently, just like the college buses. And even think about that, and so, yeah, no.
Yeah, we're working really well with Paul and all of those folks with everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get this to do this. refresh.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
could push them on to see you, man. If you want 13
Yeah,
years,
right.
then, you have the bus with extended. You don't have to move this around all day.
There you go.
That's
All
my
day,
screen.
every-
I'm sorry, Joy. I don't know what happened. It's not sharing for a minute. There we go. Let me do this.
Okay, now it seems
Now-
to be letting me.
Can you share now?
Yeah, now Joyce was up there.
There we
Okay.
go. All right.
There it is.
Sorry.
All right. So,
Technology challenge.
I'll try and make that a little bit bigger and
Okay.
screen. So that's the Deerfield site. They're saying if you paved over that yellow portion, the
Yeah.
blue portion is an 8,000 square foot footprint that's on top of the church, and then
Yeah.
2,500 square feet of green space in front of it. Okay, so Sandy Lane, they proposed a couple different things. There's one layout that they proposed was expanding the parking lot here. Adding on 10,000 square feet here, having a big green space, 15,000 square feet. And making a smaller, like staff parking lot over here. They don't show a driveway, people will just have to jump their cars over to get into that apparently.
Used to have.
Well, that's why you got the 42,000 square feet with parking there and you can drive to the front.
That's right, the thing I like about this is you can drive right to the front, they had another similar layout, the cost estimate isn't any different, where if you can cut another driveway there. Then you could expand it this way instead, and then-
Portico kind of drop off area.
and then they didn't hash out the green space, but that would be all of this area here. But they're saying even so, you'd have to probably expand that, even though that big parking lot is there, you'd still have to expand it if you put the senior center in there. And I think that's not unreasonable, but there's some flexibility, I guess, is what
So
I'm
how many parking spaces is that?
Nine.
Okay,
92?
yeah, 92 spaces there,
The other
and
one
the other
was
one's
93.
93. And, so to me, those are both close enough to 100.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but you are sharing it with the town offices.
and some people carpool too. so-
And some people
Yeah.
carpool, and some people are getting transported by van.
Yeah.
So I think we can somehow manage that if we do, and they put Sandy Langus in South Deerfield, so they apologize profusely for that.
It's a mailing address in that way, so
Right,
you're gonna scroll down
Yeah.
the plum tree.
yeah, I was gonna say, on this one, the parking was, it's really 50 spaces and the rest are shared. And they don't like shared, but we share, we like share. Okay, so let me go down to Plum Tree Road. They are recommending if we expand that existing parking lot. It looks like it could take down a bunch of trees, which I would feel bad about.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's only 40 there now.
There's only-
How many you got that, you want 100, is that what you?
That's
So
what they're
the
saying,
goal
what should
would
they
be,
say?
so the big thing is that we're planning for now, but we're also planning for the future.
Sure.
Because once we do this, we know in 25 years, we're not gonna get another senior center or any other buildings going like that. So you want to project. I mean, just talking about the new members, we've increased 1, 2, 3, 371 new members.
Yeah.
Since
What's the max you've ever had in this?
here, oh my God,
And
no, we've had this whole entire parking lot filled. We park over at the bank.
Yeah.
And then we've also had to shuttle from town hall.
Wow.
Oh,
So
wow.
this place is not
Not
adequate for
close,
parking.
yeah.
We need.
Yeah.
Brandon, do you know how many parking spaces are at the church?
Package store.
At the Holy Family?
I don't know.
Because the Holy Family parking lot sometimes wasn't even enough, and the Congregational Church over here is not enough. And that we can fit like maybe 35, 40 people there parking, or cars, and then staff will always park here. And then we have volunteers park across other places around here. So we definitely need 100 parking spaces.
Could they, I mean, on this one, could you
Yeah.
do a shared tennis footage?
I don't know,
and that would be something to look, that'd be a more of a detail.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking aloud.
And honestly, one of the things that makes me think this price is ridiculous. Is that they say it's gonna cost $100,000 for this parking lot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think so, I don't think it's gonna cost, and because we have highway departments, because we have the skills within our
but
community.
you still have to pay for their hours and
And,
product. The
oh,
product,
I
the
agree,
product, I think, is what the thing is, the cost
Right.
went up on everything.
I'm just in it.
True.
Yeah,
true, but really, the new parking, $500,000?
How much is it?
$500,000?
yeah, I think that's what we're looking at for the Leary lot. for
I mean,
Monday.
yeah.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
it does, right, okay, anyhow, it does seem like our towns are actually pretty good at utilizing their local resources.
Sure.
To, if, for like a town's in-kind match could be the work of their, I mean, for
Yeah.
on a project, that's, and in-kind matches are good on grants. So I'm not worried about the numbers. But this is what they had imagined for that site. A
And then-
little tiny little blue add-on here. Take the parking lot that's on the side and make it much bigger. And work something so that you have kind of a turnaround here. And you keep the green spaces out front and you keep some of this green space that's out back. Right now, this picture was taken when there are no leaves on the trees, which I guess is good. But presumably, you do as much as you can to keep as many of those trees
It's better now.
as you can. So that's,
Yeah, the only other plus I'd say on this one is you have a complex right next door.
Yep,
So if people
And-
wanted to be in the senior center.
and the PVTA, we've already spoken with the PVTA, if we were to be here. They would make a loop at the back entrance.
yeah, they
Oh,
look better,
Yeah, so.
yeah,
So they
so,
would make it accessible over their big route stuff there.
yeah. So at this point, maybe we should focus in on which two sites should we recommend they go forward with. And here I have to admit, I don't know the exact procedure. My guess is because the grant is administered by the town of Deerfield, it will ultimately be the Deerfield selectmen who make the
Sure.
decision. But our job is to advise.
Right, oh,
So what advice would we have as far as the three locations?
it's the time to get into Sunderland is obviously important.
Pardon?
What?
Time to get into Sunderland is, you want to just initially, into the 12,000
Yeah.
and make it work.
The barrier is purchasing the
I
building
agree.
and then the location is the other.
Yeah, no, I can totally agree with those.
The one point I just want to share, so if we did go to Sunderland, we would be able to leave this space because we would be able to be as
Yes. we
in
can-
the front half of that space while the back half's being renovated. We could be in the front half, at least the staff could be, and, you know,
And
we could
you
use
can
one or two of
gradually
the
grow
rooms.
yourself in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we would reduce the cost of renting this space, which is right now $1,890 a month. We're not paying for a second space except when we go to the Sunderland Congregational Church. We pay $75 if we're not using the kitchen, you know, for like our food pantry and other events that we have there. So that's very low cost.
Very low.
So, you know, we could look at that as a cost saving for the I'm not mathing right now,
Yeah,
so
that's
whatever the
okay.
1890 times 12 is.
Well, that, yeah, but that's all that's small change
Yeah.
compared to
The millions, yeah.
the millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I don't know which site to volunteer to not.
Yeah, that's how.
And that's, I think, the hardest thing.
So let me ask you this question. So, we're doing the open house on October 2nd, which is, you know, a week from Wednesday. We're, you know, I've been advertising it everywhere. Chris Larrabee is gonna be doing an article on it, get it leading up. So I'm wondering, do we want, when people come in, you know, if they pick the locations, you know, we can have the three options and have, you know, those who attend
Well, let's get-
kind of
yeah.
decide and get, or at
Well,
least
let's
get the
get-
input
Get
from
there,
them
but, yeah,
before you make the decision. I mean, I know their deadline is December, but we could always have a brief meeting to just get the information and meet for a half hour on Zoom or in person or whatnot, and
well, yeah, we can
Yeah.
schedule our next meeting to be after that,
Yeah,
not necessarily a long time after that, but
right,
to be after that and get that, I think that was an excellent idea. We don't have to decide everything today.
Did they do timelines for each of the three options? No?
No, I think that would be in the next.
they
yeah.
actually put on here, so some of the stuff that they put on here was escalation to start with summer of 2026. Was just the time frame, I think, to start.
Right, I think that's the same for all. three.
Yeah, that's it there, so that was the only date I had seen on the other, on any of that. Other than that, they didn't put a timeline,
So, okay. Yeah, so I guess, so we don't have to decide. I feel like we kind of looked at this from kind of all kinds of angles. We know none of our sites are perfect. They're all gonna be costly to get what we want.
Yeah.
And there's, in some cases, we have some challenges of ownership, challenges of will the town, will the town demolish the existing building? And things like that, so.
Yeah.
I wish we could just say, oh, could you just do all three of them?
I know.
But we have to come up with,
money.
right, we'd have to come up with money to do that, and I don't think we've got a,
Right,
not on that, kind of time scale.
no,
So, among us, we have to probably think on this, talk to people that you.
Yeah.
I wanna say trust, that's not quite the right word,
no,
but people who have a good sense of what can be done. Like I've got a mental list of 3 people I wanna talk to them lately.
Yeah.
About this and say, you know, what does your gut tell you?
right, exactly,
And,
yeah. And so you wanna meet sometime
Yeah.
after the seventh?
so yeah, so let's, when we get to the point of setting our next meeting date, let's set one for early, mid-October.
Special town meeting on the 7th.
yeah, the meeting that we're doing is October 2nd, so.
Yeah.
You know,
That coming weekend is like the 6th.
the 5th and 6th,
Fifth and
and then the 7th is the special town meeting.
And there's no vote related to this.
No,
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 that's a vote for what,
Yeah.
the funding for the 1888 building?
yeah, I'm on a bunch of, Yeah.
I haven't paid attention to it, honestly, to that one.
Sure what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I show up, I read it when I get there, so it's great.
That's right, okay,
So,
is there, let's put the meeting date to the.
And,
to
yeah.
the end. So I feel like we've kind of finished this topic unless somebody has something.
Nope, good.
so
Good hashing it
we'll
out.
take the feedback, then we'll make, then
Yep.
you'll make a decision on what the best.
Yeah.
And I'll also send an email out to folks, if they can't make it, I would like to share that these are the 3 sites that we're
Yeah.
looking at, and, what's,
Yeah,
they have
No,
a meeting or feedback.
It's been in public meetings already, so it's. public.
Yeah, no, I know that,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I wanna make sure that we include the 3, should I include any of the drawings?
her spreadsheet was pretty good, it had everything done.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, do you want the cost analysis to go
Yeah, I
out
don't
with
care.
that as well in the spreadsheet, or do you want it to just be?
Well, I don't want to give anybody a heart attack.
Well.
Well, I think
Um,
the fact that we're being transparent and honest.
Yeah.
And letting them know what the goal is with everything is really important.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay,
So then.
Yeah, and people, yeah, and it is an Excel file, so you can actually go in there and do things like, you could say, well, if people really like the 12,000 square feet at Plum Tree Road, you can go in and change the Whately site to 12,000 square feet.
Right.
And get a closer to
Yeah.
realistic comparison, although if you're gonna build something new, just build what you
Yes.
need.
Yeah.
So,
I think we need to build what we need, because
Yeah, I think we.
we're
should.
gonna continue to increase membership, because if people, if you get a brand new building, that's gonna bring in a whole another, section of folks who may not have come because they didn't like location, or, maybe they didn't like Holy Family because it was a religious site, or they didn't like here because we have no parking, or they didn't wanna come across the bridge. I mean, you may get people who, hey, senior center's now offering bocce ball, or whatever the activity is. I don't know, but,
Yeah.
people come
Yeah.
for various
Yeah.
reasons.
Well, classes on how to close out your annuity to pay for the building.
Right, there we go.
All right.
Okay, all right,
Great.
let's move on to the next item
Well,
on our
I'm
list.
hopeful that we might see it in our lifetime.
These take time.
It's amazing what a little information.
Yeah.
Help and
Crystallize.
clarify things and working with people who have done this before.
Yeah.
Really, and the idea that, I mean, it seems obvious now, you should focus on what you're trying to do, that should determine what building you need, not the building you have, see if you can shoehorn something in.
Right.
You know,
She has done so much in the short time that she's been here, and because of that, there has been an increase of membership because of the programming and events that she can now offer.
yeah, and that insight is as reinforced when a professional architect says this, and a professional planner says it. It really makes a difference to have professionals put, just put the real reasons and have data to back it up.
That's what I
That-
hoping for
that-
a frontier meeting, but.
No, we can
Everybody.
definitely do
I
that.
think that's,
Everybody,
do you-
get the professional here.
get our
So-
finance committee's all there too.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think the big piece too right now is once we get the data from the open house, the
Yeah.
feedback, then we have the meeting.
Yeah.
And then you suggest to Deerfield and they decide, or well, they're working directly with us for that information. So if we tell them the 2 sites.
Like, we tell them the 2 sites, we don't have the power to tell consultants, these are the 2 sites, do these, because we are not their boss.
Yes.
You guys. are their boss.
Trevor's the.
So that, yeah,
Yeah,
so, and
we're
our,
gonna go along with whatever this.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be like, oh, you're kidding, so it's not,
okay, good.
it's whatever.
That's nice. I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to leave.
Oh, okay, thank you for joining us.
What you said was really interesting.
Oh, good.
And I liked the idea of having everybody meet.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
Good.
yeah, no,
But
you're.
thank you for all your.
Yeah.
work.
For coming.
Bye, guys. Well, he never speak in the waiting. I mean, sadly, but he was one also.
Oh.
So the Hadley's only 10 because originally it was 12,000 and then
they knocked 2,000 square feet off, I believe, due to cost. But then after the fact of, being in there, they realized they really needed that additional 2,000 square foot.
Didn't
like
you
they
have a
originally-
problem like with parking and with?
Yeah, it was a delay
Yeah.
because there was shared parking, not just with the library, but the American Legion or VFW. I think it's the Legion, it's
Yeah.
right there, so there was a delay
Yeah.
with those sides, and being there for their parking. Even just having people in an exercise class and some other things, there is very tight. So the fact of, that we're looking at the parking, it really can be an issue. But, because with the new library, I'm sure they're also looking at bringing in, new people to the library and things, so. It's just gonna be finagling and making sure that things are,
We gotta make sure we have good things going, so seniors can.
Yeah.
Staff and then.
Library. I love the Irving, Irving, you know what, I have put a note to it, to check out everything, I've driven past it.
Very green.
Yeah,
Very good.
Irving is very lucky, they have the paper, they have the milled endowment that help.
But how many seats that one?
That I don't know off the top of my head. And the other thing to remember is when you see one senior center, you see one senior center, because so many, places are different, they have different needs in each community. Yeah. So I think the next item on the agenda is, the INA. I know, we got a response from Pete Kane, but we didn't get a response from anyone else.
Yeah.
So,
Just looking through, I looked through Pete's comments, mostly he was doing kind of grammar things.
yeah,
Making it like more of the proper legal document. He answered some of my questions about, yeah, you need a treasurer, even if and technically they're in charge of the South Wing Senior Center budget. But the treasurer gives day-to-day handling of the budget to the director. But in essence, the board of directors would need a treasurer who would ultimately provide fiscal reports
also.
via the director.
One of the other thing too is share, Julie Marino, who's the director of the Shelburne Consortium, they're going to a district.
Going to the district,
So-
which is, how is that different from tuition?
I don't know,
Yeah,
but she's gonna be sharing information to me, with that. So, I don't know all the details. She was out. I think this is her second or third time she got COVID, so we didn't have a chance to talk about all of that. But, she did share that they were going to the district. So what could, you just shared fire district, what makes the districts different than a
Well,
consortium?
they have the ability to raise taxes.
How,
Yeah.
It's a problem.
It's a levy on your, yeah,
Property tax.
oh,
So if you don't, you're still paying tax.
right,
yeah.
right. Well,
You know,
and,
but a lot of-
There's no season to pay the tax, if you're a fireman, you're a student, you pay the tax.
right,
And
and
you
it-
don't
that's
need-
a,
you don't
it's a
need that.
separate tax bill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's just fire.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but you
And
can't use that argument because, everybody needs for education.
No, I still, I agree.
So,
Yeah.
but the problem is that, one of the goals that we're trying to do, and I know there's gonna be some tax increase, but most of our older adults in all the communities, because we don't have a huge business tax base, is gonna fall on households, so trying to keep that within the thought process of where we're at. And knowing, even if we take, with all your mathematic experience, if you take the 15 million and you look at the existing property ownership within the towns based on real estate taxes paid by businesses versus individuals or whatever, is there a way to figure out what it would be for a cost for an increase per household?
that depends a lot on how you finance it, and, like over time, like, because mostly you. You have to figure out how much are you ultimately gonna have to borrow,
Right.
and usually it's the borrowing cost is
Yeah.
the main increase in your
Right.
taxes.
Well, because I know when Jeff Kravitz was here, he based it on a 15-year note versus a 30 note, which could,
Right, yeah,
have a lower cost, but I know in the
That's
long run,
lower
you're
per year,
saving.
right.
Saving less, by doing a 15-year note versus doing a 30-year, or in the long run, you're paying more in interest and whatnot. But what is the tax burden on the communities with those? And I know that's gonna be a big pushback question that we're gonna get, because especially in Deerfield with
with the library project, that was just in, and then, the 1888 building, I hear CPA funds, et cetera. And I know for the senior housing project, money's been put into the CPA fund for that, so there won't be an additional a new tax burden.
Yeah.
But I think there would be a new tax burden for this project in addition to the library, and then Whately, do you have any other major projects going on in your community?
The town hall loans, I think are coming to them pretty soon. We'll get that one, because we ended up doing that whole thing for $4 million.
Great deal.
We got, yeah, so, but, what, they did some, I wanna say tricky financing, that's not really correct, but like every year when the note came up, they pay it off
Yeah.
as much as they can and then refinance it at the lower rate.
Yeah.
So that, so it
Yeah.
kept getting,
No,
right, so, yeah,
Yeah.
that we're not necessarily in the same kind of situation.
Right.
Yeah, but no, it's
Interest
good
rates,
to know how everything, how, with
Yeah.
each community, and to my understanding, Sunderland doesn't have any big projects coming up right now.
Yeah.
So, it's just looking at the overarching effect. Because we do have people who lived on a fixed budget, so we're trying to just look at that, I mean,
The question really is who should do the borrowing?
yeah,
Right, and
Does
that's,
that entity have a bond rating? You know what I mean? So, like if we were an entity that went out and borrowed,
let's say you're brand new.
brand new.
Right,
but-
so we
but-
vote in the
but
fund
that
money.
3 towns.
Can we leverage the towns? Can we leverage the towns?
I don't know.
Right.
but the thing is, here's a suggestion that I have regarding that, because the feedback I get from individuals, not from town officials, individuals who have spoken to me about different things. The biggest issue that is in there is if one community votes to purchase it, like some taxpayers in Sunderland, for purchase, I'm just throwing that out there,
Sure.
it's for sale.
Yeah.
For,
Yeah,
like Plum Tree
That's
Road.
not the only site we're considering that was private.
Right,
Yeah.
so that, people are saying, well, what's to say Deerfield's not gonna back out, what's to say Whately's not gonna back out, so.
You have to,
So I would, suggest that, we have a predetermined agreement if there's purchase. Or if we're going into this renovation at the other 2 sites, that that we have some formal agreement, so that way, when you go in front of the taxpayer or through the annual town meetings, we have this agreement, we're moving forward, now we need to come to you for the financing. And I know in the past, it's, right now Deerfield pays the majority and each of, 50% and then 25 to 25. So looking at usage and stuff, and Deerfield still has double the numbers of the other towns. So, and if you're looking at a frontier piece, how you went forward purchasing that. I know you also have Conway in the mix there, but I think just having a predetermined plan, or just, amongst all the, through you and the Board of Oversight, and then the select boards are on board to bring it to the town meetings, because then if we're at this point now and we have this, we could start moving forward in April, June, whatever your ATMs are.
Yeah.
Because it is a big project, but it is also sharing that information and educating people, having those big meetings and having more than one. And because I think, we have to do one during the day for, our main participants who go to the centers, and then, in the evening or even a weekend, just so everybody feels included in the discussion.
Yeah.
So,
so I'm gonna focus us back onto our agenda. Let's
sorry.
get to. So we're thinking about this consortium agreement, and to me, one of the main advantages of it is it could help us, at least with the flexibility, that we wouldn't have to have a town purchase the building. If we were a building we could purchase. And I don't know that the minute we become a consortium, if that's what happens, I don't know if that very minute we go out and make an offer, right? Probably not.
Yeah.
But at least that is one avenue that we can pursue. And what if a building never comes out for us to buy? Well, then we never buy a building.
Well, you still have advantages.
There's still, but, okay, yeah, and the other things that I think Pete actually commented on as well, he liked the kind of expanding the composition of the board.
Could the consortium buy one of the public buildings? Just they are.
Presumably.
Why
The
not?
consortium would be the three towns.
Yeah, why, not? Why couldn't that happen?
The consortium would be the South County Senior Center Consortium. And it's the same, it's the structure that they have in Asheville, Buckland, and Shelton Falls. Their senior center is run by this consortium, which has a host town, much the way Deerfield is our, they don't use host.
Fiduciary.
Fiduciary. So such that when you employ people, they're employee of the town of Deerfield here. So it has some very similar structures to what we're doing now, but it does allow for the purchase. And I was gonna say, it's rather vaguely written.
Yeah.
It really only requires that at the time you purchase it, you have agreements in place with all three towns, and that all three towns have to be on board and make the commitment to support that purchase.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't do a lot of other things, like it doesn't specify like what kind of land it's very open, because who the heck knows?
Who owns the senior center for that construction?
It's actually housed in a municipal building,
So it's in a municipal building, yeah.
but they
have-
don't own it, as far as I know.
But
but
they
the
control the
agreement-
space.
Well, but the agreement would allow,
Yeah.
or if a building came open,
Yeah,
shelter folks, that was appropriate. This consortium could be the owner of that. building.
so one of the
As far as
town,
I know, they've never exercised that particular.
so the town up there takes care of the building, does all that stuff.
Yeah, it does, yeah. I think one of Pete's comments on this was that, there's, let's see,
Do you want to share it on screen? or no?
yeah, I'm sure I can, yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to read it, but I can certainly share it on the screen.
No, Pete's the town administrator.
Pete's our new town administrator.
Oh,
I can't get out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we're at 11:30 is our stop time? Okay. Right, so various, like, one place where Pete made a substantive thing that was not just a grammar thing. He says, I'm also thinking there should be a new host town, portion here that outlines the responsibilities of the host community. Right now, the agreement references those responsibilities throughout, but it would be helpful to have them established at the forefront, so it's there. It'll also help clarify, clearly define the role difference between the host town and the board of directors. So he's saying maybe that would be a helpful section to add, on later. So that was something we were saying, he clarified about, yeah, you need a treasurer, and technically the treasurer of the board of directors is in charge of the money for the senior center, but when you have a director, normally the treasurer gives that day-to-day operating to the director, and maybe the director helps the treasurer come up with reports out of QuickBooks or whatever you're using so they can report to the board.
That's done through me, but then that we have some accountant.
So so it's really the town accountant in Deerfield who's preparing the reports. So the treasurer would not be someone who's necessarily committing themselves to hours and hours of work doing the actual accounting. There's actually someone doing the accounting.
So they don't have a treasurer on listed in this one?
I think we do not now, but they do in here. and that's
Oh,
what
okay.
I had
That's
asked
what I'm
that
asking.
question.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
wondering, if there's one sort of shared agreement.
So just wanted to.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm looking for things that were not grammatical, that Pete put in there. He asked about, should this be further, okay, so, the director shall recommend, the host towns, so this is about, senior center employees. It says the director shall recommend candidates for hire. The host town select board shall have all final hiring, discipline, determination authority. So Pete's comment on this is, should this be further defined? Such as setting an expectation for public job posting, interviewing, and minimum candidates. I'm not sure if minimum candidates, but minimum qualifications. I think. The hiring policies for the select boards are defined in the personnel policies of the communities, but I'm not sure if we're saying that the policy looks true. The process of the director in their search for other senior center staff. Maybe it could just reference through the hiring process as defined by the host town's personnel policies. So that seems like something that probably ought to be clarified, could probably be clarified in the.
Yeah.
Says that, I think that's actually what our practice is, right? The personnel policies of. Fiduciary applies to the employees.
Yeah.
So, here we go. And then the last part there. When completes. The board of directors having the authority to resolve. Matters about complaints about programming, operation, events, or matters under the jurisdiction of the board. He says that seems to leave the responsibility ambiguous. And could lend to a difference of opinion on which of the two entities, I think the director and the board. Maybe it should read, the board shall have the authority to resolve the matter, which may include delegating responsibility for resolution of the matter to the director.
But I will just clarify, like,
Yeah.
if it comes, if something's brought to me as a director.
Yeah.
I don't always push it up to you, if there's a complaint about why are we
Yeah.
having this program, or can we add this program or
Right,
something?
right,
So I guess
yeah,
maybe it would be maybe on the severity of the issue.
yeah, I think that's a realistic thing, so that one, I'm not really sure. Whether we want to make it that. Higher. So I'm still thinking about that one, I guess, I mean, I take it seriously because Pete knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, hey. Clarity would be good.
Right.
No, I understand.
Maybe we clarify, but we don't clarify it the way he said. And I'm okay with having a little bit of ambiguity. And I think he really didn't have a heck of a lot more.
When we say about transportation, or is that you? Who's that?
The transfer, that was me.
Oh, okay.
That was me putting, this. Transportation rights, yes.
We
So-
do get, so for some folks, you know, we do get donations. We haven't set a set transportation price. But with the fact that the service incentive plan for transportation ended, I think it would be something to consider, you know, doing.
Yeah,
I mean, most of the time we get donations from folks anyway,
yeah,
so it's not a big deal, but, if we.
then I think it's off of the policy.
Yeah, because we have to also offset, you know, I mean, we have I think for this fiscal year, I think we're at $3,000 for transportation budget, which is minimal,
Uh-huh.
like, so if something breaks. Or paying for gas or whatever, it comes out of that, but, you know, I just kind of went, like ballparking it from where we were last year, so.
You know, in the past, Jennifer, when we went on trips, everybody contributed, it was, let's say, $3. You know,
Yeah.
well, we used to get the van from Risley. And he didn't charge the center for using the van. All we were required to do was we replaced gas, so we did that.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it was. And nobody complained about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I feel like what I really want to do is get more eyes on this document, but I'd like to move forward, maybe as a goal. Get this on our Springtown meetings. Because changing our agreement would need a town meeting
Yeah.
approval.
Can you send me a copy of that?
I think you have access
Do I have
from the Google
Yeah,
thing, it was shared before.
Yeah, it was shared before,
If you could
Yeah, that'd be great.
and there we go, Trevor McDaniel.
Actually, no, can you send a different email?
Sure,
So, T McDaniel. There it is.
Yeah.
Yep, there I am. Yeah, just my town.
okay,
Do you wanna send it to everybody?
Yeah,
that doc,
give it to me, that'd be great.
okay, and what's email for you?
Let's see, I guess I'm Murphy T at Townsend.
second one down.
That's what it is.
Do you wanna read some?
Sure.
Well, I just
Yeah.
don't know where it is in the thing.
Yeah, no.
It's in
There you go.
the South County Senior Center, town district, okay, it's in. Share anyway with that B
Yeah.
Murphy, you're not on my phone.
That's all right.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
I can find it, here, it is. In a folder called South County Senior Center Documents for.
It's great.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, it was just finding the link to it again.
Yeah.
Well, no, we got an update and not everything saved on my favorite, so.
Oh, I see, okay,
That just happened yesterday.
no, very good. All right, so, I guess for homework, I know Margaret is sort of temporary.
Yeah, she's busy. She's been
She's
working
very
hard.
busy.
Working really hard.
To me, the great thing about getting her to look at it, she's also, I think, familiar. Did she work in one of those three towns, Buckland, or I think,
Uh,
Yeah, he was in Berlin.
yeah, which one you said?
okay, oh, I'm mixing, Andrea Lamas lived in Buckland for us.
Yeah.
But she's been in so many towns, she knows, and I would really value her, her input.
Yeah.
And I don't know who to ask in here, because
So look at this.
to get, to
Yeah,
read it
so I
over
was gonna talk, I was gonna send it to our. Lisa, my attorney, and just kind of have her get some eyes on what.
That'd be a great idea.
Legal, borrowing, that kind of thing, responsibility, just to get some, if we're gonna start moving forward, she'd have to look at it anyway,
Right.
so maybe just talk to her and then Chris and,
Yeah, because this might, so becoming a district might not be the best idea for us.
right,
Yeah,
Um,
I'm still going
it
to.
might be better.
I think this might be a better, and then 10 years from now, let's look at it.
Exactly,
Consortium will allow us to buy a building.
I guess.
And then,
Yeah,
then do we
you can
manage,
say that.
then do we manage,
Well,
and
that's,
we
that's
deal with all
the
that?
thing, yeah.
And then we hire people and we don't deal with towns at all?
No, well, or no, you know,
That's what I mean,
No,
it's a lot of
no, we-
responsibility.
because our funding is centralized from the towns.
Yeah.
So we, the ability to purchase in this agreement is contingent on getting agreements.
We're
with
still-
all the towns.
Oh, I get that, I
Yeah,
get that.
we're still having.
We're still having our
Sorry, Marianne, we're still having a pump, and I think it's gonna get a little difficult to. So sorry about that, yeah, try not to shush me. I
Anyway,
know.
interesting
Why, the
meeting.
question, why, we're supposed to be my bill, as long as I want.
Right.
Right,
Right.
Well, if we were independently wealthy.
right, no, I did all that, I did all that, we started thinking the structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three buildings,
Right.
you buy that one, you buy that one.
It would be a way of buying a building,
Yeah,
and then the only commitment Sunderland is making is for its share of the payments.
Right,
And Deerfield's only making
Agreed, no, I agree.
its share, and it helps get around that.
I have
Yeah.
a question,
Yeah.
so is this gonna, is the consortium gonna be a 501c3?
I don't think so,
Okay, because I'm just trying to figure out, like,
I think it's more like a
so the
municipal
host town
entity.
piece is going to be like we are now with the fiduciary in Deerfield and doing that, so. I guess for me, when you talk about adding a treasurer role to it, it's interesting because,
It's really 8%,
okay,
as far as I can.
because I'm just trying to figure out like, how does that work? Because like, I work directly with the town accountant who runs the reports.
Yeah.
So it's, you know,
I think
and
it's-
I give
yeah.
all the data to all of you on the board, but not one of you is, so.
Yeah, I think that's why I was asking, like,
Yeah.
this treasurer thing real? And it's real in the sense that, yeah, you have to have a treasurer. And it's real in the sense that that person is technically the point person on the board for the budget and the day-to-day, like what's in our bank account. But
But
that
we-
person is not the accountant, and that person is not the director. So
But
it's,
the other thing is, I don't know how much money is in our bank account paid in.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I get them
Yeah.
it's monthly,
And
and
it's
I
right-
do the bill, so it's like, I don't know.
but they would be able to at any point go, and it's, or your accountant, could you run a report for me on like budget versus actual.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of the more relevant,
Yeah, okay.
not necessarily how much money is in the bank.
No,
account.
yeah, she sends those reports monthly to me right
Yeah.
now, so.
Yeah, and
So
that's,
with that.
and my guess is you just share that with the treasurer might have like look at it more closely. I don't, I feel like it's just the state, the state.
But
law,
not-
yeah, you're gonna have this kind of structure.
Yeah.
You have to have a treasurer.
Oh, I understand that, because I'm just trying to look at how does it flow. Because we talked about, one of the things that we talked about before is that while you would have members, for each town on the board as, like a COA representative or.
Yeah.
And we talked about decision making, those folks couldn't get together and make a unilateral decision without other members from the board or oversight or however. You wanna talk with the town rep, because I think that is one of the confusion pieces.
And that's like, well, they have.
No, this,
Yeah,
this is someone.
we're back on that.
No, this is our new, yes, oh,
2012, way up to 4,443,000.
Yeah,
If you look at just.
yeah, I did, don't get me started on those numbers.
yeah,
But to me, I think the important thing at the beginning was to establish the difference between those numbers is not that important.
Yeah,
Okay?
Yeah.
That's that small change.
yeah.
And we will figure out a way to build it for less than $50 million.
Yeah.
That I think
Yeah, the town will look for it.
yeah, that town, but we're not really
You
selling
have
that.
three
price.
towns, so it would be 25%.
No, we're not, it's not gonna cost us 15 million.
Yes. Yeah,
Deerfield.
yeah.
Can we go on to the
The other part,
policy?
guys.
Cause we
Yes,
need to get the policy,
sure.
in the.
So, if you pull up the last document I handed out, I wanted you all to vote on it. So this is taken from a spreadsheet on, the federal drug and alcohol website that was given to me by PBTA. I filled it in with our details. The, Trevor made a comment that, certain things were not included. We didn't incorporate, I think, yeah, we didn't include mushrooms in here. So what psilocybin, is that what those are called?
So,
I don't know what the technological term, what's the science
What's the-
term for mushrooms, magic mushrooms?
Google will tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Any of those, so I can add that, okay. But this is specific, this is what the FTA, the Federal Transportation Authority, has on, in their thing, so they don't even put that.
So my questions are.
Yes,
Do we, so this is, so we don't really have a lot of policies for the South County Senior Center, so we need to have this because we are.
so where
Is this not covered by the towns?
town doesn't have policies on this, if they do, I have no idea where to find it.
We would have
It
policies.
would be part of the personnel policy. It is in Whately, the
Sure it is.
drug and alcohol. is part of
Yeah,
that.
so
For
that's.
driving,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, especially for vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay,
for any
so
town
can
employees,
we,
so I'm just wondering, would it fall, my question was, would it fall under the fiduciary person, town that's managing our employees
Well, we can-
policy, or would it be our own separate?
can we have our own
And who-
separate one and then still use the
Who also
fiduciary? as
covers
that
it?
I don't think ours conflicts with it.
Just for.
No, I'm sure it
employees or
doesn't.
Members or.
No,
Sure, it
so
does.
this
So
is
they-
just for people driving the senior center vehicles. So, sometimes I drive
Yeah.
senior center vehicles, so it include all of the staff. But the reason that I'm doing this is, as I mentioned in a few meetings before, we are partnering with the PBTA on different projects. The PBTA has asked us to, they put in a grant to try to increase transportation in part of our area, which includes the Sunderland area, like Sanderson Place, and some of the apartment complexes that, where the seniors live, on the fixed route.
Yeah.
They received a grant, through the state, which includes not just our senior center, but the Amherst Senior Center. So transportation would start at the Banks Community Center, go to Leverett, which doesn't have any transportation, and we do have seniors from Leverett who come to Center here. Then it would go from there to Cliffside Apartments to Sugarloaf. Because there can be a transfer with the FRTA if need be, or picking up people from there, going up to Sanderson Place. And then going from there to the Oliver Transportation Center, then to Bay State Franklin.
Yeah.
So it would give us, folks who need to go to medical appointments up at Bay State Franklin, an opportunity through our area going up. So how we partner is, we would cover 1 day a week of transportation. They talked about splitting it, whether Amherst and us could do half a day on a Tuesday and a Thursday, or a full day. So I opted for a full day for doing that with a driver, because Tuesdays and Thursdays are not our busiest days,
Oh, okay.
where we don't have to enhance
Less
fitness.
stress on the staff.
Yeah, so staff would be available, number one. Number two, it tries to reduce some of the transportation issues we have with getting over the border from Sunderland to Greenfield for medical appointments. That's been our biggest challenge, other than getting people from Wheaton and Deerfield going south, which we've been able to address, but the FRTA hasn't been on board with that,
That's
because
right.
they don't have the staff drivers. So by doing this, we're working with, PBTA is driving, MVP is driving, we're driving, and Amherst Senior Center is driving. So we've got all of these
And they're
different
driving a
entities.
bus or driving?
We're driving a van.
Van.
It's, you don't need a CDL,
Right.
so our staff, so Tom and Chris went for the training. For that this past Wednesday, they were in Springfield and they drove the route fully. So they fully trained on their avenues. They asked for even though they're current employees, they wanted a PBTA style drug and alcohol test, which I sent them for
Yeah.
on Friday.
Yeah.
We're not, so initially, we're paying this up front. We're getting reimbursed for all of the time through the
Good.
grant.
Good.
So we're gonna be sending a bill to the PBTA. In
Okay.
addition, so one of the things that we looked at is Chris, through other grants, through the SIG transportation grant, had been getting an additional 5 hours a week. So the PBTA will cover 8 hours of time.
Okay.
So we're not paying additional. Chris is out of the office, but technically, what we used our transportation options before was asking people, do they have additional issues in the, like, it's kind of a conversation. Like if you're on a bus and you start up a conversation, you're more apt to tell somebody about issues. So we're able to see if someone needs additional
Yeah,
services.
so my questions are
Yes.
around, like, is there an MMA between our drivers and our employees, whose insurance covers who? at the time?
PBTA covers
There
everything.
must be an MMA that says that, right, somewhere, I mean,
Agreement?
Yeah. an
We're
agreement.
we're gonna have that set up
We
soon.
wanna see that,
Yeah.
and I wanna get that, to Deerfield for legal, just make sure that
Legal,
we're
yep,
covered.
no
And then
problem.
same with this, if we can just, make sure that everything that we have is covered here, and if not, like, we should add something to our policy
Sure.
book. Or just add this
Do
to
you-
our policy book.
Yep, that's not a problem. We don't have to vote on this today.
Right, and we just get them, just to have everybody make sure that we're all, maybe even have Pete look at it or something to say, hey, does this look?
What is the kosher?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do we have everything covered, or should we, or I mean, missing something, or should we add something to our policy that we're missing here
Yeah.
that's covered here? Just so that everybody is, like, there isn't a question when there is an accident.
Yeah.
Or an issue, we know exactly who's responsible.
Exactly.
I just-
This is slated to not start until September 30th, so I
Okay.
have time.
Yeah.
Paul's getting me all the information, so I will
At
send
the
a follow-up
PBTA.
email. PBTA, Paul Burns
Paul Burns.
is the assistant administrator.
Right,
Or,
The boss.
I thought Sandra was the boss. Sandra's the boss.
one of the big wigs.
Yeah, he's the second in charge.
Okay,
And he works with all of this stuff. And in addition with this partnership, with us, the whole reason all these things came to fruition was through the Mass in Motion grant stuff that we started with to address transportation and food insecurity in our
Right.
region. And
yeah,
so the PBTA has really been on board with all of this. So we've been able to expand to try to address that. The other piece to that is we are, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking to get an additional van to replace this 2011 because it's starting, it's basically reached its end of life. You know, if we look at certain
Yeah.
pieces, so to get an additional one.
TikTok.
Yeah, to get an additional one, we're partnering with the PBTA, so we will not have to put in a match for the town. So there will be no match. There, the PBTA will, I'm getting all the details to see how all that works, but basically, if you do it under a regional transit authority, there's no additional charge. So they may technically own it. From talking with Mike Squigando, who was the Westfield director, he was sharing that basically you just maintain it and provide the insurance and they pay for everything. So, you know, they pay for the vehicle, so that
Okay.
technically might be owned by them, but it's
Yeah.
it's
But
that.
you, yeah.
So, I don't know what your thoughts are on moving forward with that, because the grant closes in the middle of October.
We decide, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, do it, just let it out, I'm only asking.
Yeah.
You have thoughts on that?
There's a lot of moving pieces, and I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure that we are thinking about cost and our exposure and insurances and all that.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure like the business part of it is square.
Yes, we'll have all the agreements in and I will have all those details.
And we can have fun.
Yeah, oh, definitely, that's
Yeah.
not just,
Right.
that's not just a me thing.
No,
Right.
yeah.
Right,
This
that's,
project, for this particular thing, we just came up, all the details in between, like, we've had meetings every week and, you know, or every other week, and some of it wasn't shared until after our last meeting, and so,
Yeah.
and the other meetings were just the feasibility discussion, so, you know, we wasn't adding that onto our agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy to have a quick meeting anytime on Zoom or something.
Sure.
Need approval or sign something. Once you have all that,
I'm more than happy to do that,
that'd be
so,
great.
yeah,
I can send you the digital copy of
Yeah,
this,
that'd be great.
so you can send that to Lisa.
Yeah, that'd be
You
excellent.
can have Pete look at it, and then if you want to have Margaret look at it, so.
Yeah, just to make sure that we're,
Um,
our umbrella covers.
Yeah.
it.
and
And,
I'll get the MOU from Pete, or from Peter Burns,
Yeah.
and then,
Great.
the other piece is, getting you the information after the open house on the second.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
the other concerns about when are you looking to have the consortium piece finalized, so that way we can bring it to town meeting in the spring?
well, I think we should keep pushing it as much as, I think once it gets to budget season, none of our admins are gonna give us the time of day on that, right? So
That starts in
we've got,
end of December, November, December.
it starts in earnest in February.
Right.
Yeah,
So we've got to see about getting their attention earlier than that,
okay,
on this particular thing. And then, so my next step with Pete is gonna be, well, we're getting together, to look at it, but, what's our schedule for getting this on town meeting?
Yeah,
And they're already thinking about that. So
great.
This would be,
So I don't know if we need to mention that to Christopher and to Margaret,
You should,
on that, so,
yeah,
um,
so our homework is to take that next little step, whatever it happens to
so we
be.
have the document, we start with that.
Yeah, start with that, and you can let them know, I guess,
Yeah.
transmit that. We're thinking this might be something we wanna have approved at our town meeting in April, so. Then I think they'll appreciate that. That's
We're all on board with it anyway, I don't see people getting excited about
finance is gonna want to see what impacts that has.
yeah.
right,
And,
Yeah.
and are these, I assume all the board members are volunteers, so there shouldn't be a cost associated with that, right?
yes, there's no, we're not paying our board of directors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it, right?
so,
So it could change very little,
oh,
it
wait,
only
It's
changes
just a
that.
matter
did
of.
we have? I'm sorry, because we've been in a few different meetings, at this point, did we have in there that we were going to change the percentages based on usage or
I think
based on census information?
I think it is in there based on,
Cause I know we talked about frontiers, I think it should be census, because that's how we get our formula fund money, and
Right, because usage can go up and down depending.
yeah, it's based, and with older adults, it's based on that. And then,
No.
yeah, the other thing too is once our grant cycles end, as Camille brought up, looking at different cost analysis and my professional experience has been using the mean to figure out the average cost for certain programs versus others.
Mhm.
And then also not just looking at what we do, looking at surrounding centers, because I know a lot of our seniors travel
Yeah.
to other centers to utilize their services as
Sure.
well for some of the exercise classes.
Yeah.
Or other.
What percent drive here versus?
Most every, a lot of people drive here, but actually, hold on, I can pull it up at the end of the meeting when I bring up my senior center, it just shows,
I was curious if it's 5% or 10% or.
I can tell you, I just don't wanna,
So you say probably what you think.
All right.
well, I don't wanna.
I
just
found
pull
the
up a
apportionment
screen.
part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Operating costs for the first fiscal year next following the effective date of this agreement. And for every fiscal year thereafter shall be apportioned to the member towns on the basis of the respective average senior member usage. That's what-
Yeah, so
That's what it's, I mean, we can change
I
that.
think we should change it based on census data.
Yeah.
Because
Very
you
cool.
can have, because we also, here's the thing, we also get people from other communities. And so you can't just base it on.
So yeah, we can't send a bill to eleven.
Right.
Right, well, good, but.
Right, but we
Well,
can,
we
but
don't
we can treat their citizens different. We can have a different cost structure but, so if we were to change member usage to,
Federal census. data.
population.
Yeah, I don't think, like, I don't want you tracking where people are from.
Yeah, 'cause they make.
More.
Well, we do have that for memberships, we do
Yeah.
have staff county, we do have groups, like, because that's how I pull the Whately data.
Sure.
We, for the most part, with all of those, we've been able to break it down.
So, our towns do a census every year.
Yeah,
So do you wanna do it by town? Well, here's the thing, so our grant money for the formula fund grant is based on the federal census, so that's a 10-year guide.
Yeah.
If we do this annually with this, we're looking at it every year.
It's a lot of, yeah. Okay, all right.
I think, or if you wanna break it down to every 5 years, but I think every 10 is based on board with what our state funding is from.
we're not going that fast.
Well-
See, we were thinking, we do it the same as we kind of do Frontier.
Yeah.
Which is based
Somebody's
on, but
fucked off,
I
yeah.
think maybe it's a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah.
And the school choice kids coming in from outside they're making their towns are making a contribution.
Yeah.
Under law, that's the difference here, we can't really force contributions other than like this class costs $3 for a member and $10 for a non-member, or
Yeah, you
or
can differentiate
you can
it that way.
differentiate. And
And, I haven't really been doing that per se, I mean, like, most of our stuff has been free because of the grants we've received.
yeah,
But, there are some centers that we charge, the higher rated fee for members, non-members, but like but the thing is like, places like Leverett or Conway, they don't have an actual physical tangible senior center to regularly use. So that's why, we've been inviting and open to have people come here.
yeah.
But if there's a place that has an active senior center, like they're from Hadley or from Amherst, then you can maybe charge them more versus someone that
Yeah, we-
doesn't have one.
But somewhere
I
it
don't know.
refers to a policy that we have somewhere, a policy on. On that, yeah, sure, that's what you might get, policy.
So the nice thing. Yesterday was 90 degrees.
We have a participation,
Yesterday or the day before was 90.
all residents at least 60 years old or others per the participation policy in a member town is eligible to participate. Fees may be charged for participation.
Yeah.
Programs or services provided under federal state grant funding may have different criteria. So if the participation under a federal grant means you have to accept someone for any town, but we should have a participation policy. And I don't know that we
I don't,
have
we
one.
don't have.
My note here is Jen is working to put our policy in writing. We'll link it here when the draft is ready.
Good.
Jen's working on a lot of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jen's been a little overwhelmed because
right.
we've been adding the feasibility project on top of regular
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Some other
Um,
things,
So participation by non-member towns, this is what it says.
yeah.
Residents at least 60 years old or others for the participation policy in non-member towns may participate in programs and activities if space permits,
Sure.
Yeah.
which is, I think, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's
additional
exactly what we've been
fees,
doing.
maybe, so that is probably gonna. That would probably be in the participation policy, that you
Yeah.
prioritize members, people from member towns, but you don't exclude people from non-member towns. If you've got room.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's very reasonable,
We've been,
so
you
we
know,
just make a participation policy that is consistent with that.
it's not a problem.
So, if you put the word policy in the search block, you get to those two parts of that
If
agreement.
I send you all.
That's not, yeah, that's not as urgent as the other things that are on your plate, so I'm
Yeah.
not pushing on that.
Well, one of the things that I did wanna ask is, you know, if I send you individual emails. Or maybe you can just address it at the next meeting, the priority list, the things that I'm working on and what takes more precedence over others.
Yeah,
You know, because it's been grant reporting, it's been a lot of work, and then the
Yeah.
different classes and getting like, people acclimated to everything, and
Yeah.
just being in all the
okay,
places.
well, if you ever just wanna have like a one-on-one, and you're like, for priorities, I'm sure we can, we can do that. I'm sure. Yeah.
Alright,
Uh,
are we still going with the meeting, or do we need to do a motion to adjourn? No, we need to set the next date.
And, we want it to be something after October 2nd. That weekend after October 2nd is the 5th and 6th.
But-
I don't know if we're still looking at a weekend or
Trevor's getting ready for annual town meeting.
the whole weekend? You can
No,
weekend work
probably
for
not.
that?
I don't know, that's what I'm saying.
Twelfth I'm not around.
And then
I'm doing good.
we're doing salaries, Grumer's got Grumer, Luna has an appointment at 1 o'clock, so as long as we have a hard stop by noon. It's fine,
Okay,
but is it, let me see,
Yeah, right.
is it a warrant week? Yeah, it's a warrant week, oh, you guys are killing me.
okay,
Warrant week means, I usually don't get out on early and, but I can get with some appointment.
well, the subjects for the meeting will be. I mean, in some ways, it's the same as this one. If you're discussing, but we'll have some more input. Consortium, hopefully we'll have some more input from more towns, and, well, yeah,
It's gonna be, yeah, we're gonna get that information from the October 2nd meeting, so we'll have all that data to share on Saturday. And then, I'll have all this to all of you prior to
Right,
that meeting, I don't know if you
I'll be
can, like,
approving this.
yeah, so we should have this approved by then, hopefully.
What's that on second off?
The second is
second
gonna be
is
the open house
Open house.
here.
It's here
Yeah.
for the whole thing from all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the consultants are coming and.
Okay.
Well, so it's a question and answer, it's not the 3-town group meeting that we were
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
So should we pick a date for that too? Or do we need to wait until
For
the
the 3-town?
presentation is
I
done
think,
by the?
I think we'll need more, I think,
We'll need to have
I
the
mean,
drawings and everything.
we
done
would
by
need
then.
drawings and stuff like that
Okay.
to get that level. So I would say, if we can have it on the 5th, would it be better to do it in the afternoon after your appointment? Would having the morning free be better for you? So I'm okay with Saturday afternoon.
Afternoon's not great for me.
Oh, not great for you.
Okay. We can do the morning, you wanna do 10 o'clock like usual?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright, so that'll be the 5th,
and then, and let's try to make it 11:30.
Yeah.
Stop.
Get this out of here.
Okay,
alright.
right.
She sighed when you guys talked about a meeting, she went,
Yeah, okay, and the agenda, as far as I can tell, is gonna have kind of the same 3 items, only we're gonna expect to vote on this.
yes,
And we're gonna expect to mostly, and maybe be able to make a decision about what do we recommend for the 2 sites.
yes, that's the biggest thing that's
And
recommended.
where is that Q and A being held?
It's here,
Here.
yeah, I've been
Okay.
advertising
It's gonna be
it,
standing remote.
I hope so. 9 to 3 or 9 to 12, and then I've got a small group of some seniors who are coming after, Fran is one of them, to give some input on what you want in a senior center. So we've got.
I'm not gonna be able to be there for that.
Huh?
whole morning.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, what was that?
That Q and A is not the time that I can come,
No,
so.
I
yeah.
don't think most people, I mean, like,
Right.
a lot of you won't be able
Will
to
you
attend.
will you be videotaping it?
I can,
Cause I think that would,
That would be good.
that would, even if it's just pushing this up in the
Zoom it up,
corner,
Yeah,
so that it'll pick up faces, it'll pick up people and if they're.
Can we legally, so here's a question, can we legally do that without people knowing? I mean, I can put up a sign saying we're recording today.
we posted the public meeting.
Posted as a.
Yeah, I can
It's
put it
not-
in the public meeting.
Let's do that.
But it's not a meeting.
It's
of
not a,
the board.
yeah, it's not a board, no votes,
I
but it's posted all over the town. We posted it, I believe, I dropped the town.
think you're.
Who else would have to be there to be a posted meeting for this group, right?
Yeah,
Right.
but if one of you is here, nobody else
I think
needs
you're
to,
allowed to record things and.
as long as you let people know.
Yeah, just,
Okay,
no,
And see at the beginning of the meeting, this meeting.
because that would be valuable to
So you
me
can
to
watch
be able
it.
to hear that, feedback before.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can do that. It's a 3-hour meeting, I'm just letting you. Or it's
I will put it on
it's a
2X.
walking thing, so I don't. It's
Will
like,
there be any point where they're kind of presenting things to people?
so how Chris explained it to me was that it was gonna be like, people come in and ask questions. And then I don't know if we're doing a poster board, because it's something I like that, Atticus had suggested,
Yeah.
was taking sticky notes. And, putting it, like, what do you want to see? So like, that would be, we could get, I'm gonna have post-it notes, because then we can put the 3 different locations on a poster board. And people can walk up and go, this is where I want it to be. So I got big post-its I can put on the
Right.
wall,
Okay,
So-
so the feedback is gonna be in sort of written form,
yes.
so it may not be worth recording.
They're all gonna just think, I mean, it's all gonna be location based, so people from different,
Well, it's gonna-
different people.
Well, it's gonna be location based, but it's also gonna be not just
Mm.
that, but it's also gonna be, what do you want to see in a
Yeah,
center?
yeah,
So they're
of
gonna go over all of those things with people.
Yeah,
So,
good.
people have input on that.
yeah, okay, so they are collecting this,
The data.
the feedback
Mhm.
in, then capturing it in some way.
Yes,
And
That's cool.
presumably they will be, maybe they'll share the way that they capture it with us. And
well,
it's
that's what
gonna
I'm
be
gonna
on,
ask Chris.
ask him, yeah, and ask him on what timeline, because that's,
I would like it by Friday afternoon, so I can have it for Saturday.
yeah,
meeting.
yeah,
That's what my
Funny votes.
okay, good, good. So you're already aware.
Oh, yeah. Plus, I'm looking at, potentially, if we record, which I don't have a problem with, I put up signs just saying that we're being recorded today. That things here are being recorded for informational purposes, then, people will be aware of that.
Yeah.
It's really important to have feedback. So October 5th is our date at 10. Are you doing an adjournment?
I would entertain a motion, to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Daniel, I.
Joyce, aye.
For sticking out all the way.